Hi, I'm Kai Cheng Tom, and you're watching Ask Kai, Quick Tips for the Apocalypse, a series of short videos in which I teach you everything you need to know about living your best life while the rising tide of the apocalypse continues to get higher and higher and higher. Okay, advice time. Okay, advice seekers, today's question is, I'm beginning my transition and I want to tell my boss about my name and my pronouns. How do I get started? So I have really two answers for this. And answer number one is I kind of think that we're all going to be turned into a raging zombie horde, either by the virus or the vaccine for the virus or some sort of experimental thing Elon Musk is going to do. We're all going to be zombies. We're going to eat each other. Money won't matter. Don't bother. First of all, congratulations on starting your transition. That's huge. It's an enormous step. And global apocalypse aside, we all still need to move towards our most authentic lives and our most authentic selves. That's still really important, maybe more important than ever. So congratulations on your courage. That's awesome. Now, when it comes to actually addressing the issue of broaching your name and pronouns at work, I think this answer really depends on what the workplace is and who your boss is. So important thing to know is if you are asking from Canada or from Ontario, there's actual legislation at both the provincial and federal level that your gender identity and your gender rights are to be protected in the workplace. It is actually illegal for anyone to discriminate against you for being trans, for having a name or pronouns that don't match the name and pronouns on your birth certificate, if that's the case for you. So there's actually a high amount of legal protection in the workplace for you if you're in Canada, and especially if you're in Ontario. You may also have legislation enshrined at the federal or state level if you're in the United States of America or some other countries as well. So I would advise actually taking a look into that. It's not that hard to find if you're Googling, but you might also look into getting the advice of an employment lawyer. Sometimes you can go to legal clinics or legal advice clinics for free. So getting a sense of what are your legal rights and entitlements. This is very important to know. Even if your workplace is the most trans-friendly and diverse in the world, it's always just good to get a sense of what your legal rights are. Beyond the legal level, on a moral level, I would argue that the same thing is true, that you have a right to use the name and pronouns that ring true for you in this moment, and nobody should tell you otherwise. How do you bring it up with your boss? So this is where, actually having a sense of what your rights are comes in handy. You might want to check workplace policy too, because often workplaces have anti-discrimination, diversity and inclusion policies, especially these days. So you want to get a sense of what's there for you. If you've got a union, you might want to ask a union steward about this too. That's all of the rights-based stuff. And if anything kind of goes sour, which I really hope it doesn't, you'll want to have a sense of being able to bring your rights into the conversation, which usually pretty quickly stops anything bad from happening, at least in an overt way, and it will also allow you to defend yourself if any kind of bullying or transphobia occurs. I really, really, really hope that it doesn't. But what about the human or interpersonal level? I would hope that your boss as a leader and your workplace as an organization are into the idea of human rights, diversity, and giving workers a good experience. That's the hope. And you want to remember, they'll want to remember that this is in their best interest as well, because workers that are supported in all of their wonderful diversity and in having a good experience are more likely to be good workers. So it's in everyone's interest that your name and pronouns are respected. And keeping that in mind as you go into a conversation might prove to be helpful. But what about you? What can you actually do? Well, if you and your boss have a good and close enough relationship, honestly, you might just walk into their office or set up a meeting and say, hey, I've got something important to tell you, and then say it. And if that sounds really, really, really anxiety-provoking or nerve-wracking, you might try practicing the conversation in the mirror, writing down some important phrases. Preparing in advance can really help to have that face-to-face conversation. The value of the face-to-face conversation being that it is really hard for most people to look someone in the eye and not feel for them, not want to be supportive. So if you and your boss have that kind of a relationship, I would suggest maybe, just booking a meeting and having the conversation. You can bring someone with you if that feels more supportive. maybe a coworker, or someone from the union. But again, this is about the human connection part of the conversation. So if you and your boss are able to do it together, face-to-face, one-on-one, that might be the best case scenario. Now, on the other hand, if you and your boss don't have that kind of relationship, if your workplace is very formal, or if it's just very big and you don't know your boss that well, then you might want to do something that's a little bit less intense on the nervous system. And particularly if you suspect that your boss might need some time to find their best self and develop a really good response to you. We want to set up people for success in this kind of a conversation. You and your boss want to be set up for success. So once you've done the thing where you've researched your rights on a federal, state or provincial, and workplace level, you could write a formal letter. And a formal letter is a really great way of alerting your workplace to something in a way where they can take their time and also do their research and come up with the best response for you. I think it's easy for us to forget the meaning of a written memo or notification of something. But writing things down and sending them to your boss is actually a pretty formal thing to do, even though we do it all the time by email, we use emojis, whatever. Writing something down means there has to be a record of it. And when there's a record of something, workplaces tend to take that pretty seriously. So, you might write your letter. It doesn't have to be super formal, but maybe a little formal could be good. Dear boss, name. I'm blah, 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 and we've worked together for such and such amount of time. This is if they don't know you. If they do know you, then don't tell them who you are. Just say, I have some important and exciting news to let you know. I am transitioning, and if they don't know what that means, you might include like a helpful link or an article or something about what transitioning means. And I would like to be referred to from now on by the name you prefer and the pronouns you prefer. And then I would just end that letter by saying, thank you so much in advance for your support. I really appreciate your assistance in this matter. You might want to ask for any other kind of support that you need, like your boss helping you to make sure other people are using the right name and pronouns. It's always just good to throw that in there. Shoot for the moon. Also important to know the moon is your rights. And then sign off. Thank you very much. Most sincerely, put your new name. And when you send an email like that, important thing to know is it's probably not going to be only your boss who sees it. It might be their boss as well if they have a boss, or it might be HR if there's an HR department, might be admin. So you just want to write this letter in a way that multiple people might see it. And that's not a bad thing. That's probably a good thing, actually, because people are going to come together in the workplace and think about, oh, how do we support a trans person? Maybe they've already done that, actually. Maybe there's protocols in place. And then they're going to reach back. And, best case scenario, this should be the norm. They'll say, thank you very much for letting us know. Congratulations on your transition. We will support you in the ways you asked and these other ways too. Here's how to get your name changed in our official workplace payment system or whatever. If it's a legal name change you're seeking, all these other sorts of things. Really important to remember that if your chosen name and pronouns are different from your legal name and pronouns, you're still entitled to be called by your preferred name and pronouns, and it actually doesn't mess anyone's system up or whatever, even though sometimes people will say it does because they're kind of freaked out. But trust me, you can still get paid. They might have to put your legal name on like government documents, but you can really still get paid and be a worker while being referred to in the workplace by your chosen name and pronouns. So that's really, really important to remember. It's also kind of a non-negotiable for most people. So that's the best case scenario. Sometimes, unfortunately, people are not their best selves and we don't get the best case scenario. People might be like, I don't know what this means, blah, 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 blah. And this is where it's important to, again, to have a sense of what your rights are. There are, depending on where you live, there may be agencies that are dedicated to supporting trans people in the workplace. So you might want to reach out to them. Any trans-friendly social worker or counselor or employment professional should also be able to assist you with this. I might also talk to some of your friends who are supportive, or family members, if you have family members or chosen family who are supportive. Not doing this alone is really, really important. And if anything should come up, you'll want to have a team on your side so you can advocate for yourself with confidence. So go forth, be brave. You've already been so, so courageous. Remember that you can take your time with this. You don't have to do it all right away. I'm wishing you the very best of luck and the very best of work experiences. Also wishing that all of us will never have to work again at some point because either, an amazing anarcho-socialist revolution has reshaped our planet, or we're all flesh-eating zombies. Either way, it's good. that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching. This has been Ask Kai, quick tips for the apocalypse. I'm Kai Ching Tom. Stay safe, wash your hands. Don't be a zombie. Become a zombie really fast. I don't know, just, it's gonna be okay. I promise.